Somebody said, now you're going to realize why your mother used to, grandma used to wash. Hard times coming. Should be live. Yeah, I don't know. They didn't share anymore. Now you just got to copy and share
All right. Well, good morning. Welcome to Talk About a Lie with Frank and Manny. I want to thank you so much for joining us. How you doing this morning, Frank?
Good. I got a mouthful.
You have me. I got my taco this morning, my coffee this morning, so I'm good to go. Praise the Lord. It's a new day. The scriptures tell us it's the day that the Lord has made.
Amen,
so
brother.
Let us rejoice in it. Amen. And so, we got a lot to talk about. There's so much going on. This past week and still in our nation. One of the things I don't want people to forget that we need to be reminded of is that there still is a border crisis going on, folks. I've been checking the news a lot and reading the news a lot, and sadly, Frank, there's not much being said about it anymore on a lot of media stations. Some, and even on some conservative sites.
Yeah, folks are. Well, there's a lot of stuff, but there's a lot of stuff going on, but that's by design, and there are a lot of issues. I mean, we're going to get into some other stuff, but for us here on the border, especially as we see this crowd coming up from Mexico, it's going to be it's something we definitely have to keep our eye on, because all the other issues, folks, at least as they pertain to life now, life in America. The border is key. Our sovereignty is key. the adherence to law, the rule of law. It's key to our nation. That's what it's founded on, those principles. And so this invasion is something we have to keep our eye on. And we see it touches many aspects of our lives as Americans.
Right, I agree. And I think a lot of people don't realize that this caravan that is coming up, it's already in Chiapas. Mm-hmm. They've over 60, I forgot how many, 60, 70,000, even more. We're getting new numbers every single day. Yeah. And what's amazing to me, Frank, is I was just reading yesterday, and actually the other day as well, that Mexico has actually offered visas to these illegal aliens over there, and a lot of them are, they keep calling them migrants, and they're not migrants, folks, because they're really not immigrating to the United States. They're traveling with the intent of entering the United States illegally, and so the same goes with Mexico. A lot of the aliens that are over there, a lot of these foreigners that are over there are illegal aliens because they've entered illegally without without permits and.
Well, look at the way they rushed the Mexican authorities down there in Guatemala, bro. I mean, a peaceful people, a people who say they're refugees, who say they're seeking refuge, who say they're fleeing, terrible conditions in their country, would be happy just to land on this side of the Caribbean or on this side of the world.
Oh yeah.
Instead, they're rushing through. They're demanding. They're using force. They're using aggression. The rhetoric that they're spewing is combative, and it's a direct challenge to what America stands for. That's the way I see it, bro. Is their goal is to get to America. Their aim is to enter our country one way or another.
Right.
And of course, the Biden administration is giving them the green light. But as we've seen, they have no problem using aggression. And what they rely on, Manny, is this hesitancy by the authorities, or complacency, and even just full-blown being in agreement with it. Man, the complicity, being complicit in the whole thing.
Yeah.
But anyways, they're pushing through, and there's a lot to talk about. Here. As it pertains to Texas and the readiness, the resolve, the resolute, spirit within our politicians, or lack thereof, to defend our sovereignty and our citizens, and we got to talk about that.
Yeah, we sure do, and folks, we mustn't forget that this deals with America's sovereignty, and not just Texas sovereignty, because Texas is a gateway to the rest of America. And there's always that saying, so goes Texas, so goes the rest of the United States. And if Texas lays down and gives up our sovereignty, the reality is the rest of America will basically follow through. I think there'll be some states trying to fight back and whatnot, but the reality is that Texas holds the line.
Yeah, and you could qualify that in the sense, look, for Florida under DeSantis is definitely right now, Governor DeSantis is doing more than, I think, to champion conservative causes, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
I agree. We just now this past session had to go to constitutional carry when other states have been constitutional carry for longer than Texas has. So there's some things, but it's this, and I think it's key. Two things, folks. The Electoral College vote, 38 Electoral College votes. Probably going to go up to 40 now.
Wow.
But if Texas falls to the left, to the Democrats, and they get a hold of those votes, it's a huge block, bro. It's second only to California.
Right.
Well, let's qualify. I have to do my research. New York, California, but I'm pretty sure Texas is right up there. But that's the Electoral College vote, bro. The other thing is, well, what you kind of touched on, Manny, that Texas is the last stronghold. It's the last firewall. It is the fortress wall of what America is. And if we lose that, brother, I mean, if we lose that spirit, if we lose the essence of what it means to be free,
right,
brother, we're lost as a people.
Yeah.
And so it's beyond, hey, you can't come into our home illegally. It's beyond, we don't want to give our taxes away. We don't want to see our taxes just being given away, like Biden's talking about, $500,000 giving them away to each illegal alien or whatever.
Right.
It's beyond that. It's about the will to be free, bro. And if they break that will, they break our back, and they bring people to their knees, brother.
Yeah.
And so, like that famous philosopher and freedom fighter, man, that. No, but
I'm just preparing myself.
Yeah, prepare yourself. Hey, look, man, like the movie Braveheart, man.
Yeah.
William Wallace,
yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Freedom. It's about freedom.
It
man.
is about freedom. What's sad though, Frank, is that there's also people. There's that will to be free, but there's also those who we see in the United States right now, Frank, that are willing to be enslaved. When in the book of Exodus in the book of Exodus in the scriptures, when Moses comes about, and then it says that after a while there was this Pharaoh who didn't remember Joseph and whatnot, and during the time of Joseph, the Israelites settled, the Hebrews settled in Goshen, right? And they were only supposed to be there for a short period of time. The reason I'm bringing this up is because as they were there, many of them, the old Jewish writings, say that many of them willingly became enslaved because they started believing that they were living wonderful lives, good lives. They were given homes and whatnot, and all kinds of benefits and all kinds of things like that. And the early Jewish writings say that they grew fat. Not just physically, but they grew fat and in their minds because they thought they had it good. And so many of them even adopted Egyptian gods and Egyptian culture and all these other things. And then they didn't realize that they were actually being fattened up for slavery.
For the slaughter.
Yes, exactly. And so when slavery finally happened, it took them by surprise, even though they were already slaves. And so we see that when Moses finally comes up and leads them out into the Exodus, leads them out into the wilderness, you even hear some complain, man, if we should go back. He brought us out here to die. Back there we had fish, we had dates, we had all these, but they were foods that their masters were giving them.
Yeah.
So they had this slave mentality. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because we see people like that in the United States now that are willing to give up their freedoms for so-called easy, convenient
for the
living.
fat of the land.
For the fat of the land, right? That doesn't even belong to them.
Manny, so a lot of thought with that, but one thing for sure, look, today is election day in Texas, election day, and I'll make the segue here, the connection here. Proposition 2 on the Texas ballot, folks, is to give counties the authority, the power to create debt for infrastructure, to build up blighted, torn down, unsightly, parts of the county, underdeveloped parts of the county. Folks, it's a tax. It's a tax, and it says in that ballot, that it will give them the power. It's something that counties right now can't do. They got to rely on grants, and they got to rely on, joint cooperative efforts and stuff. But folks, are you ready to give yet another entity greater taxing power? Look, counties already tax you. They already tax you. But this is geared for projects that 5 people, the 4 commissioners and the county judge, will ultimately decide on within the county. And it's going to give that commissioners court the power to create and initiate projects that they, in their wisdom, and if you're in a Democrat-controlled county, in their Democrat wisdom,
wow,
to incur debt for the citizens of that county. And so, it's going to be left up to the judgment, the wisdom, if there is any, the discernment, if there is any, of your county commissioners to decide what projects they're going to propose and fund via your hard-earned money. So you need to get off your butt. You need to push away from the keyboard. After we're done, of course, watch us.
Yeah.
Watch us. But go freaking vote. Go vote. If you're in Texas, you have got to vote. And there's going to be people that are going to be ticked off. They're going to say, dang it, Frank, I mean, we're in some poor counties, and this is a chance to build up some infrastructure. part of the reason we're in some poor counties, Manny, is because people have voted Democrat, socialist ideals, socialist principles, socialist values their entire freaking lives. Why? Because grandma told you to do so.
Yeah.
And and you don't go research. Well, if Joe Biden hasn't been a wake up call for Democrats, if Kamala and Pelosi and what they are doing to our nation has not been a wake up call to the Democrats that are out there, give us your address. We'll go freaking slap you in the face, and maybe that'll wake you up, bro. I mean, come on. Look at what they're doing to our nation. Look at what they're doing to your future. Look at the way they're squandering, spending, giving away your tax dollars, your children's tax dollars, your grandchildren's tax dollars.
Yeah.
They're giving away the freaking house, the barn, the cow, the chickens, everything.
Yep.
They're giving it away. So you need to get involved. And first of all, it's today, November 2nd, here in Texas. Usually at your county courthouse, unless you got some different polling places. Go to the Valverde County Republican page here in Valverde, Republican page, and I posted there the polling locations for today. So you got to find your polling location, and it's going to be based on where you live and where go vote, right. Folks. Go vote today. Everything else is on the table. I voted. I'm just going to tell you. I'm going to put it out there. I voted for yes from propositions 3 down. I voted no for giving the county greater power to tax you. Hey, look, man. There's grants out there.
Yep.
We do not need to give counties greater taxing power, especially when it's going to fall on the decision-making laps, decision-making hands of people who are aligned with the socialist, freaking Marxist, anti-America agenda of the Democrat Party. And if you're in a Democrat Party, controlled party, you got an ounce of conservative concern for our nation, go vote no against Proposition 2. And then get involved with your Republican Party. Now, I say that, bro, and I gotta kind of hold myself back, Manny, because the Republicans are acting. A lot of them are acting like Democrats.
Yeah.
Many freaking Republicans, incumbents. It's all about the money. It's all about the pocket. But you've got to change that from within. Hey, look, third party and all that other stuff. Maybe down the road, but right now this is all we have. We've got to freaking, if we got to drag them to the water and shove their heads down into the water, we'll do that. But you have to get involved at your local level. I was watching the show this morning. There's counties that have the majority, 70-80% of the GOP precinct chairmanships vacant, open. Here in Valverde County, we have 17 precincts, Manny. I only have 5 precinct chairs.
Wow.
And what is the precinct chair? It's the base ground level aspect of the party, and it's your part of the volunteerism, but it's geared towards getting out within your precinct and getting the vote out for worthy candidates, and we can get into the fact that it's primary season and the fact that some people need to get thrown out on their butts on the street. They need to be removed from office. It is primary season, but this election is a constitutional amendment election today, and then we can talk about the primaries, which are going to be next year, 2022.
Wow!
So that's for giving them a moment.
Yeah. No problem, Frank. No problem. I understand why you're very, very compassionate about this as well, and sadly, I think there's a lot of it's pretty low turnout,
yes,
from what I understand, as well on what is happening in these constitutional amendments, and in regards to what's happening here locally, and which is not going to affect us statewide, but locally is going to just raise taxes on a couple of these amendments, and myself, and you're not the only one who has said that this morning about those first 2 amendments. First 2 of the items that are on the ballot in regards to raising taxes and whatnot. So folks, get out there and vote. Here in Valverde County, you can go to the county courthouse. I believe the polls are open until 7.
Well, there's gonna be different locations.
Oh yeah,
so
that's right. Yeah, that's right. Because today is the voting day.
Yeah.
Or early voting was taking place.
Yeah, or early voting was at the county. Yeah, so you got to look for the polling location.
Okay, yeah, no problem. But folks, it's very important you get out there and you exercise your constitutional right as well. When I was growing up, Frank, my grandparents were Democrats. And they always they raised would always tell me, you vote Democrat because the Democrats are for the poor people. And then as I grew up, as I started growing up, I started seeing that, well, I think they're for keeping people poor.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the difference. Because reality is, it's sad. My grandmother, God rest her soul, but she had the famous picture of Jesus on the wall, which I don't think that was him. But anyway, he had a picture of him, and then right next to him was a picture of JFK, and then Martin Luther King. And I saw that later on in other homes as well. And so when I asked about it, is because she says, well, the Democrats take care of us. And then I looked around, I was like, man, we're kind of living in squalor over here,
Yeah.
and so, but and folks, I'm not saying that the Republican Party is going to save this nation, because you're exactly right, Frank. There's a lot of people within the Republican Party that are in it for the money as well. We're fighting two fronts here. We got the Democrats on one side, and they got rhinos within the Republican Party. That are basically destroying the Republican Party, causing a lot of infighting as well. And then we got some Republicans that maybe are not rhinos, but they're not saying much right now.
Yeah, they give them to the peer pressure, bro. Yeah. They get committee assignments and committee chairmanships, and they go and it's peer pressure, bro.
Yeah.
We saw it. We saw it in the playground in elementary school. Right. Peer pressure. You saw it in high school. Peer pressure to do things you didn't want to do. In the workplace, there's peer pressure. Outright bullying. And so there is peer pressure within politics, bullying within politics. And so it's going to take special people. And so it's not the party that's going to save us. Right. Of course, let's not, get into the macro, Jesus is the Lord and Savior. But what I'm saying is there needs to be a counter to the Democrats' fundamental changing of America. They say it all the time. We're going to fundamentally change America, and they're doing it, folks. Our nation was created on Judeo-Christian principles of freedom, searching. It doesn't come without conflict. It doesn't come without controversy. It's not perfect, but this is our home. This is our land, built on principles, built on values and ideals. We got to preserve them. And so we see now, and I hope now folks are realizing, for those people that say, yeah, I'm not going to get involved in politics, they're just always it's all about them. It's all about fanning their pockets. It's all about, their self-serving, freaking narcissistic stuff. Okay, well, those politicians are freaking ruining our country. They're ruining our nation. They're enslaving our children. They're destroying our children's minds. It's politicians that are involved in that.
You're right. And then I talk with other people like, nah, I don't even go out there and vote. I don't even register to vote because I don't want to, I can't stand these politicians. But then they're the first ones to complain.
Yeah.
When things are going bad. And I remember when I was in the military. How old was I? I think I was like 18 or 19, and I was standing outside our platoon building there in Germany and complaining about the presidency at that point in time. And my platoon sergeant first class Isaac Smalls. I always remember this guy, one of my favorite men of all time. Anyway, he stops and he looks at me and he says, "Hey there, soldier. I hear you complaining about our president." And I said, "Well, yes, Sergeant." And he goes, "Are you registered to vote?" I said, no, Sergeant. He goes, "And shut up."
and did he come with a slap?
Yeah, well, back then, I'm not going to say too much, but anyway, but because I was back in the 80s, but he was exactly right. Here I was complaining, but yet I didn't voice my concern. I didn't add to my voice, or I didn't, add my voice to what has happened.
Power to your voice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I had no right to complain.
Yeah.
And so, folks, if you're not out there registered, if you're not registered to vote and you're not voting in this for these amendments, make sure you get registered to vote before the primaries and for the next election as
definitely.
well. Folks, if you keep complaining, if you're one of those people who complain about who the leaders that we have in now, and yet you're not doing anything about it, well, then it's part of your fault. The reality. And so, anyway. We got a whole bunch of stuff going on as well. I was just reading in the news this morning that. I'm gonna kind of change the subject just a little bit.
Yeah, go for it, bro.
Just a little bit. But there's a senator out of Iowa named Joni Ernst. Have you heard about her?
No.
No. Well, she just submitted what's called the Fauci Act. And I thought it was pretty amazing. I want to read it this morning because this Fauci Act bans U.S. funding for what's called gain-of-function research in communist China. And meaning, in other words, this senator is calling for a full accounting of American taxpayer dollars being used on dangerous experiments overseas that Fauci knew about.
Yeah.
And that he actually sent money to fund. And what's gain of function? So I looked gain of function up, and basically it's like gain of function is, hey, let's see what this virus can do.
Yeah.
Let's manipulate this one. Let's see what this one can do. And sadly, apparently they use beagles as well. And I'm a beagle owner, and so I'm fully aware of the.
That's it, bro. That's it. The dollar's been thrown down, bro. Yeah. Defend the dogs.
Yeah, defend the dogs, bro. And I think more people will go out and try to defend the dogs than they would, sometimes in some cases maybe.
we gotta connect that, make that click, and the lefts, short circuit that, and hey, look, let's go defend the dogs. Maybe that'll work on them. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, but anyway, so this gain of function is and that's what the actual act is called, the Fauci Act. And I don't know if you've seen as well, but if you have, on Disney Plus, there's actually a documentary about Fauci now, and I can't understand why there's a.
Are they glorifying him, I guess?
Yes, yeah, they're glorifying him. But the reality is, folks, is that this guy lied to Congress. He lied to the American people. And so now this senator, she's got the unction to submit a ban on government funding for gain of function because Fauci had lied, which is a crime anyway, to lie to Congress. But he did it, and he got away with it, and he continues to get away with it, So anyway, I thought it was very interesting. And the reason I bring this up as well is because, they're pushing for mandates, right? I just got word that a federal judge barred the Biden administration for firing federal employees, right, with religious exemptions, as far as if they're not getting the jab, So we'll see how far that goes. But
that's a perfect segue here, man, because look. November 8th is the last day for folks to get vaccinated in the federal government. And my wife and I were talking about it. I don't know if I put it out here before, but she's a Fed, and so is one of my sons. And, they're not going to get pricked, so they're going to get kicked, to the curb. She has 30 years in. He just started, but it's still, it's still that loss of provision of, financial subsistence, for himself and for our family. That's half our income there, Manny. And so, of course we're praying, we're trusting in God, but it's just so wrong, bro, especially, that they're going to just unceremoniously just throw people out. I mean, it's a big deal. When you're retired, they threw you a party. They gave you a plaque. They said, nice words about you. I was there, man. I said nice words about you, For me, they did a very nice ceremony at Comstock Station. I got a great, awesome parting gift from the guys out there. But there's thousands of our fellow employees, thousands of frontliners who, a year ago were a godsend, and now they're getting kicked to the curb without so much as a thank you note, without so much as a thank you letter. They're just going to be terminated, bro.
Right.
I mean, it's hey, 30 years putting your life on the line. We appreciate it, man. Out there's rain, sleet, snow, night, day, danger. Thanks for putting it all on the line, and I'll get the heck out of here.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to get pricked.
Yeah.
It's so totally wrong. And so, there's I wanted to read some here. They're having to input their status in the vaccination status system and the ACMS, the Accessibility Compliance Management System. And that's where they're supposed to apply for a religious or medical exemption or delay in receiving the vaccination at the DHS Accessibility Compliance Management System. So it's right there, bro. Compliance, comply, obey, bend the knee, bow, bend over, comply. And so that's the system that they have to put the information, communication with a lot of people about this, because look, Manny, if they're not vaccinated by November 8th, which is Monday, on Tuesday they can start the counseling. And remember, it's incremental.
Right.
They start counseling. Hey, you failed to comply. Here's your supervisory performance management conduct interaction right here. It's all documented. You failed to follow orders.
And then that and folks, if you don't understand what's happening there, if they decide to get vaccinated after those counseling sessions, those forms and those disciplinary forms that they get, or disciplinary actions that go against them, will affect any pay raises, will affect all kinds of stuff, right? Any promotions, because it stays on their record.
Yeah, it definitely could. It stays in the record, and after that, man, if they have 5 days for that. After that, they get 14 days on the beach without pay. 14 days without pay, and then they come back at the end of the 14 days, and they'll be asked, did you comply? Did you kiss the ring? Did you bend over? Did you bow to Biden and get pricked?
Wow.
And if they don't, bro, at the end of those 14 days, then there's a 5-day window where they'll be terminated. They'll be terminated. And so the big question is, I've spoken with several different folks, Manny, within the agencies, primarily here DHS. They're being run by that scum of a human being, Mayorkas, Lord save his soul, but, he's just terrible. Anyways, they're not getting any guidance, brother, on anything other than do this, comply, or you will face disciplinary leading, which could include termination, which we probably will. But they're not getting any advice, bro, on religious accommodation as far as, look, what is the board? What is the process? It's just submitted in the compliance system, the ACMS, and then, what's going to happen if it's denied? If your religious accommodation request is denied, can you file an EEO complaint, for religious discrimination?
Yeah.
If it is recognized, and I've seen some stories out there, reports where people, they're being told, we recognize your religious exemption request, we recognize it, but we can't accommodate you. Therefore, you're fired anyways.
Right.
And so is that going to happen to the frontliners down here in the border as we have freaking, thousands of people coming up? We're fixing to weaken our nation, anyways, that's part of it. The other thing, Manny, what about their pensions? What if they get fired? Are they still eligible to receive their pensions if they were terminated? And can people opt to resign right now, take an early retirement, which is a deferred retirement, where they know they're going to step out. They're not only going to lose their salary, but they're going to have to prolong their retirement.
And that's the key word, deferred retirement, right? Don't take a payout.
Don't take a payout. Do not take a first payout. Do not take a retirement system. You're under the old CSRS system. Do not take a payout. If you're going to take a deferred, you're going to have to wait a few more years. Say you were going to get it at your MRA, minimum retirement age. You might have to wait till age 60 now. 3 more years, 4 more years, whatever, depending on your MRA. But see, this is the information, Manny, that human resources supervisors, management, the Office of Personnel Management is not putting out to the troops, to the people on the ground, to employees, man.
What's that? I was talking to some agents yesterday and the day before. Folks, if you're an agent or federal employee watching this, do not write your own religious exemption letter. I was talking to some people. Frank,
what? Don't write your own?
Well, get it written by clergy. By your clergy, and then maybe try to maybe even get a legal letterhead on it. And the reason I say don't write your own is because some of the things that I was hearing that are in the letters of religious exemption, Frank, are kind of outlandish in a sense. And when managers look at these things, it doesn't really make too much sense. And so they're, I don't know, if my advice to you is to get with your clergy, have them write a religious exemption letter for you. And if they can't, if they don't know how, there's this website I'm going to put up on our screen here real quick. That lc.org, libertycouncil.org. You talked about them last week as well. They got a lot of information, folks, on there as well. They also have some examples of religious exemption letters for both Jews and Christians, and on what to submit. And they also recommend maybe trying to get a letterhead on there from a legal institution also. Yeah.
And so look, real quick to that end, Manny, go to the Liberty Council website. They've got the links to the lawsuit, bro. And so I called and spoke actually with them. A very nice lady. I mean, they're probably getting inundated with calls, but she took the time, very patient, godly woman. You could just tell. Anyways, the lawsuit that the Liberty Counsel, and on the 15th, there's going to be a hearing for that, bro.
And that's going to the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Well, it's going to be at the Florida. It's going to be in Florida.
Okay.
But anyways, they have the lawsuit there. It applies to everybody, folks. Yeah, it was filed by a few people. It's called Navy SEAL 1 versus Joe Biden. That's the name of the lawsuit. But it says to all DOD service members, all federal employees, all contractors as well. And so print that page out and just attach it to submit it. Because it's gonna capture everybody. It's being filed.
That's a good idea.
Just grab that cover page from that lawsuit at the Liberty Counsel as you're submitting your religious accommodation paperwork. Submit that as well.
And that's that Liberty Counsel is at lc.org,
yes.
Right? They also have Liberty Counsel Action, which has a lot of the templates on there as well. Some of the resources available to you. I think that's lcaction.org. Yeah. But you can go to both pages. And I called a few weeks ago and talked to the Liberty Counsel as well, and it explained to them that although I'm not Christian, I'm trying to help out some Jewish employees and military members, and there's no problem. And man, they were so patient. They were great.
Yeah.
I agree with you. They're probably inundated with calls as well. And she told me that they were they're getting slammed with phone calls, but she took the time, man, to explain some things and to walk me through.
Very awesome.
Yeah, I was really pleased with her service.
So let's folks, reach out to us, but look at the video, revisit the video, share this video with folks that are contractors, DOD, service members, federal employees. Get the information out to submit that cover sheet as well. I think there's a look for the. I asked my wife because she submitted it with hers. There's a number for the case up on top, but go to the libertycounsel.org page, download that, include that with your packet. And as we're talking about that, look, this is the hypocrisy. This was a memorandum, Manny, and if you could shine the camera here, or focus the camera here.
Yeah, you're right.
So this is a memorandum from Alejandro Mayorkas. It's a memo from Alejandro Mayorkas right there. I'm looking at it. It's kind of fuzzy, but anyways. So let me read it real quick, folks. It's guidelines for enforcement actions in or near protected areas. So what this pertains to, Manny, is the actions of DHS enforcement officers near protected areas. And this just came out October 27th. So this provides guidance for ICE and CBP, which is Border Patrol, Office of Field Operations, Air Marine Operations, enforcement actions in or near areas that require special protection. It is effective immediately. So what are protected or the foundational principles in the pursuit of justice? When we conduct an enforcement action, arrest, whatever, we need to consider many factors, including the location in which we're conducting the action, impact on the people, and broader societal interests. So you start hearing all that code language, broader societal interests. For example, we take action at an emergency shelter. It's possible that non-citizens, including children, will be hesitant to visit the shelter and receive needed food and water, urgent medical attention, or other humanitarian care. So basically, bro, they're saying we're going to stay away from enforcing the law because we don't want to scare people. We don't want to look intimidating. We don't want to, create any hesitancy. Even it says even non-citizens here.
Wow.
To go get help. Illegal aliens, bro. Our freaking DHS is all about helping out illegal aliens, even as they are forcing people to the curb right here. So what are protected areas? Schools, mental care, places of worship, religious study. So don't go and force, don't be seen near a religious place because you might scare non-citizens. But yet the religious accommodation requests of thousands of DHS employees and other federal employees throughout the country, bro, and citizens are being ignored, being thrown out, bro. They're being denied. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to talk about. Just the hypocrisy of this administration, that they want to make sure that illegal aliens, invaders feel okay. That they don't feel threatened or intimidated. By the presence of a uniformed person there. But yet they're going to deny the religious accommodation request unless there's such an uproar from the American people.
Yeah,
They need to contact their legislators, contact the legislators, and contact the Biden administration.
Yep. Look at what happened with all those Southwest airline employees. Southwest backed off.
Yes.
Once all these pilots started walking off and whatnot. There's a comment here that says that if you're a federal government employee, the person has to comply with federal mandates. Real basic. I have to disagree. They don't have to comply in the sense that their mandates are not law.
Yeah.
Right.
This is an executive order.
This is an executive order, and so. Now there's differences, between law and executive order, and so this and the reality is this executive order is unconstitutional, and as well. So this goes because this goes against our basic human rights, and not to recognize religious exemptions. It doesn't matter what the reality is of if it's whatever religion you are. If you have a religious exemption, it should be looked at and considered because it's amazing to me, Frank, that here last year. All these healthcare workers were heroes, working in these COVID wings and whatnot and saving people. And now that these mandates are trying to be imposed on them, and some of them don't want to get vaccinated, now all of a sudden they're villains. I was watching a video yesterday of this nurse who was working in a COVID wing at a major hospital, being escorted out. Yeah. Simply because she didn't want to comply,
and she probably has natural immunity, which is so much better than the vaccine.
Right.
And so the federal mandate. Look, I get it. It's the same argument, bro. That immigration enforcement, national security, border security is a federal issue. BS, people. That's a bunch of freaking squat, man.
Yeah.
It's the power that we, the people, gave to the federal government.
Yeah.
The federal government's been doing it, but when the federal government fails, abdicates, freaking turns their back or encourages invasion, entices an invasion, opens the door, green lights an invasion, then they've lost any legal, moral authority to that, bro.
Right.
I mean, and so
I agree.
It's a difficult thing to consider. That we, the American people, will have to do something about this. And the way we were structured, bro, is the feds, the states, and then the lowest down at the county, city level, and then the people, man. And so Texas are being very, reserved in the sense of, they're wanting to see their government be effective. They're wanting to see their elected officials do what they were supposed to do when we chose them. We elected them to represent us, our interests, the best interest of our communities, the best interest of our state and nation. They're not doing it. So it's going to come down to the individual, to the people. It's going to come down to we, the people, the collective body of who we are as Americans. But real quick, bro. Man, I had a freaking thought. I hope it comes back, bro. I went up on a bunny trail there real quick. Anyways, okay. So here's what I was gonna say. The religious accommodation thing with the federal employees, bro. I'm glad I came back to that. These illegal aliens were walking across the street. They don't want to require, or cross a river. They won't require anything, bro.
No.
Nothing. Just come on in. They were throwing IDs that they picked up in Chile, Mexico, Central America. They were throwing them away. Yeah. They're coming in as, I don't have anything to my name. I just want into America. And boom, here's your airplane ticket, bus ticket. Here's money. Go on down the road. But yet this employees, whether they're corporate, private, or federal, bro, what they're having to do, they're having to submit paperwork. And I saw... the guidance from one of the unions, the National Treasury Employees Union, which deals with the Office of Field Operation Personnel, the blue people down at the ports, seaports, airports, Customs and Border Protection. It was stuff like include your baptismal certificate, include pictures of you praying, include pictures of you baptizing your children, include your religious, your marriage certificate that shows you were married in a church. Include all this evidentiary paperwork so that perhaps your religious accommodation request might be granted. Yeah, bro. Include letters from your clergy. Include letters from people that say you participated in religious events. Bro,
that's ridiculous.
It's a religious test.
That's ridiculous. It is a religious test.
And it's a level of scrutiny that's freaking 2 million invaders this year alone have not had to go through, bro. The scrutiny on invaders, non-citizens, versus the scrutiny on Americans, brother. I mean, if you're still a Democrat after this, I don't know, man. Maybe you're one of those famous, dead voting Democrats, or, or something, bro.
Yeah,
I mean,
bro.
how can you allow this, folks? How can you allow this to be happening in America to your fellow citizens? If they're coming, for patriotic, conservative Christian Americans now, tomorrow they're going to be coming after you.
That's right.
And so,
exactly right.
I mean,
and the sad thing is that those who comply the most are the first ones that are done away with, or the first ones that are enslaved and imprisoned in certain regimes and whatnot. That's ridiculous. Yeah, but Frank, that is a religious test, which is unconstitutional. Yeah. Any religious test is unconstitutional.
Yeah. So real quick, look, hey folks, I see this comment. Hey, show all your religious memories. That's what they're being asked, and I get it, man. I get it. It's a very feeble attempt, honestly, by this union, bro. They should have resisted at the get-go. When Biden was talking about this, the unions wield a lot of freaking power, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, they endorse candidates, and all that these unions had to do was say, hell no, Biden. We're not going to force this vaccine mandate on our union members, our employees. But at the highest echelons of these unions, they caved in.
Right.
And so to answer that question, bro, about, hey, this is a federal mandate thing. Look, folks, I get it. But what is that? What are they saying? What Biden is saying is, take this prick, get jabbed, get the vax. Okay. Get into what is it? What is in the syringe, man?
Right.
What's in it?
Right.
And all the proof that is coming out from studies and from testimonials about what is in it, and what it's doing to people. And so not only is it unconstitutional, the mandate, but it's also very suspect as to the efficacy, the effectiveness of the so-called vaccine itself.
Right.
So anyways, that's just my thoughts on that.
No, and I get it, and I agree. There's some comments as well, like, what's wrong with showing proof of religious affiliation, folks? It's never been required before. Yeah. There is a precedent. When I was in the military, when military required religious exemption, none of that was ever required before. Yeah. And then you get the people that had just maybe recently converted, recently became religious. Yeah. Things like that. You have to take all these things into consideration. But the reality is that there's a precedent that has been set. All these things were never required before, and the reality is that the requesting this information is basically a shot in the dark. They're just saying, hey, let's see if it works.
And the aspect about it is, millions of people have come across, bro, without even getting tested for the bug, without even getting tested, without even getting jabbed. And they were not asked for one slip of paper,
right,
saying that they were immune, they had been jabbed or anything. These invaders were not asked for anything. What I'm saying here, what's wrong with asking for the documentation is, it's wrong to ask Americans when you have let in invaders without having to prove anything. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. If you want to proclaim you're a believer and you want to wear that on your sleeve and you want to be involved, fine, great. What I'm talking about is, don't get lost in the weeds here, folks. What I'm saying is that yesterday's heroes are tomorrow's, rubbish on the sidewalk, according to this Biden administration. And they're being asked to provide proof of their religious beliefs in order to keep their jobs and provide food for the freaking family.
Yeah.
When these invaders were walking in without having to prove anything, they're going to get money. They're going to get free everything once they make it into the interior.
We haven't even talked about Biden wanting to give each person $450,000, man.
Of our money,
of our hard-earned money. And so as we go further, Frank, I was talking to some agents the other day as well, and they were telling me that there are some people finally getting deported back to Haiti and whatnot. It's just basically the single males. But what was interesting, Frank, is that they were expressing to me that not only are these illegal aliens not getting screened, many of them being released COVID positive. I think the numbers we got for the month of October where over 60,000 were released just on the southwest border.
COVID positive?
Well, the majority of them were COVID positive, but over 60,000 illegal aliens were released into the United States just on the southwest border alone. We're over 129% from last year in the month of October in 2020 as far as illegal alien apprehensions have gone. But what a lot of the agents found interesting is that a lot of these Haitians that they have been processing, are complaining, they don't want to get deported back to Haiti. And the reason they don't want to get deported back to Haiti is because they haven't been to Haiti in years.
Yeah.
Right. And we've talked about this before. Right. And so on our programs that a lot of these, Haitians that have come over here, the left is trying to, spin this narrative that they're trying to escape the conditions over there in Haiti and the earthquakes and this and that. But the reality is many of these adults and many of these and especially the children, many of the children weren't even born there, but a lot of these adults haven't been there in years, and a lot of them are coming over with thousands of dollars in their pockets.
Yeah, I was filming a family unit, and there was a single male there yesterday down at the Vega Verde, bro, and he had some high dollar looking headphones on, expensive ones. I mean, I go to Walmart and I buy the $9.99 special there at Walmart, man. Yeah. This guy had some high dollar stuff. The shoes and everything. And then as I was looking at the discarded clothing, which is wet, they come out of the river, it's all dripping wet. I was looking at the shoes. They look brand new, bro. They look like they just bought them. Yeah. And they're being tossed in these trash bags because they're wet now. They're going to cross the river. And, so it's a big lie, man. I mean, and you said it at the beginning of the show, Manny, they were offered visas by Mexico. Mexico said, hey, here's your visa. Here's your paperwork. Whether you choose to stay or whatever, this is the beginning of the process. And they said, no, we're going to push through. We're going to America. Right. That's where we're headed. So it's not about refuge, man. It's not about freaking asylum or, fleeing terrible conditions. It's about coming to America because the Democrats are waving, the carrot in front of them, man. Yeah. And be warned that they want to do to them what they've done to other Democrat strongholds in this nation. Just look at the blue controlled cities, man. Just look at those, districts right here on the Texas border, where Democrats have ruled for generations, bro. And they're some of the poorest in the nation, let alone in the state, man.
Yeah, even here close to us, I think like Maverick County is the fifth poorest county in the nation.
Dimmitt and Zavala counties down there, Carrizo Springs, Crystal City. Yeah. And real quick, and then we can move on real quick. There are some legislators, bro, that are trying to counter. There's a bill that would provide antibody exemption to federal employee vaccine mandate. A legislation has been introduced that would allow federal employees to opt out of the vaccine mandate if they have proof of COVID antibodies. This was submitted by Congressman Dan Newhouse, a Republican out of Washington State, of all places, bro. Wow. Out of Washington State. That's a little bit of good news there.
Yeah, it's a little bit of good news. Frank, you were going to put something up. I couldn't find the picture. I don't know what happened to it when you sent it to me, but if maybe we can just put that flyer up on the screen
real
here.
Real quick, on Saturday, November 13th at 10 a.m., folks. Saturday, November 13th, 10 a.m., right here in Del Rio. The Valverde Republican Party is working with, there it is, there, is working with the Juan Seguin Society. The Juan Seguin Society, which is, I'm trying to find the right place here, bro. Yeah. The Juan Seguin Society, folks, is an initiative of the Republican Party of Texas, and it's been geared to work towards, populations where bilingual Tejanos live at. Some people call them Hispanics, some people call them Latinos, whatever. And I know there's some folks, what are we doing that for? Look, these generational curse, if you want to call it, that's enslaved, captured, held captive, the Democrat people in Democrat strongholds. Well, this is the RPT's counter to them. This is their effort to, counter that. And so we got some speakers here. Let me go real quick, and I know most of them. Alma Jackson was the vice chair of the Republican Party of Texas. Wow! Just a couple years ago, she was a vice chair of the Republican Party of Texas.
She's the one that has that the Democratic Republican platform
The contrast.
The contrast,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And she's she's been engaged golly for years, man. And so she's the chairwoman for the engagement committee of the Republican Party of Texas. Joseph Vargas is the founder of Keep Texas Red, and he talks about the Democrat modus operandi, the tactics and schemes of the Democrats. He's the author of the Democrat modus operandi. And Naomi Narvaez is a fellow state Republican executive committee woman. She's an experienced activist campaigner, and so she's out of Atascosa, out of the Senate district that captures Atascosa and parts of Seguin and out in that area. So Naomi Narvaez, Maria Martinez. She's a board member, experienced campaigner, experienced activist. Maria Martinez is going to be here, and Rosalva Martinez as well. So these are a panel of experts are going to be here that have been involved with activism, that have been involved with engagement, outreach, and so come and visit with them Saturday, November 13th, 10 a.m. at Del Rio Christian Fellowship Church. Del Rio Christian Fellowship. 115 Wildwood. Well,
right,
that's
here. Pretty awesome. That's going to be a local event here in Del Rio.
It's going to be a local event in Del Rio.
Wow.
And if you don't live in Valverde County, the surrounding areas, come by, visit, get together with like-minded patriots. It's just a reality down here, Manny. We've talked about this, bro. We identify as Texans, Texan Americans and stuff. But this is an effort to reach out. To folks within the Democrat Party and in this border regions, Tejanos, bilingual speakers, to get them engaged in the political process. And let me read a little bit about what this is. When the people entrusted to safeguard your freedom are the ones obstructing it, what can you do to ensure your children grow up in a free society? So that's the way it leads in.
Those words kind of sound kind of similar to what's written in another document.
Yeah.
In that our founding fathers came up with.
Yes. Yeah, and so this is a workshop on how to get engaged, how to become an activist for freedom in your community. So we'll be posting that up. It'll be on Talk About It Live, and I'll throw it up on mine. We'll throw it up on the Valverde County Republican page, and we'll just get it out there. Let's make this a massive turnout. Kudos to Pastor Tommy Sondag and Assistant Pastor Pete Lamantes, who is also a precinct chairman with the Republican Party. Thanks, guys, for allowing this to take place at your venue there.
And that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome that a local congregation is getting involved in something like this, because clerical involvement, clergy involvement is very important. Ministers, rabbis, pastors, if you're out there listening, please get involved in your local politics. You got to make a difference. Years ago, if you read through history, it's amazing to me, Frank, that as I read through history and look at history, candidates used to actually go look for endorsement from their local congregations.
Yeah.
From local pastors, from local rabbis. In many other countries, that's basically where you go to first. And it used to be a great honor. But now it's this.
Well, and you would think, bro, that we want candidates who are involved in their congregations, involved in their body of faith and with fellow believers. That's one of the first steps.
Yeah.
The individual seeks out God for guidance, goes to the spouse, the family, and says, "Look, this is what I'm thinking. What's God saying to you?"
Right.
And then you go to your faith spiritual leader and say, "Look, this is what I'm doing. Pray for me.
Exactly.
Pray for this endeavor." And so that's where we've gone off the rails, bro. We have excluded God from our society. Now we are reaping the whirlwind, and it's up to us. We got to take it back.
But at the same token, Frank, sad to say that there are many religious leaders, Frank, that have sold out, that are hiding behind their pulpits, that have shut their doors and about getting involved in the politics of the local community.
And that's something I said, Manny. Look, light a fire under your clergy leaders, light a fire under your pastors, under your rabbis, under your padres, your fathers, their priests. Light a fire under them, because either you're going to be a dead church, or you're going to be a persecuted church. So there's no two other ways about it.
Right.
Either you're going to be a dead, spiritually dead, ineffective church that goes through all the motions, or you're going to be a persecuted church. That's the only chance, the only options we have right now, the way things are shaping up in America. And so back in our founding roots, bro, the clergy were very much involved.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
Oh, yeah.
They were a part of, being the fire to light people's, fires from in the heart. They were the match for that. They were the ones that, passed the torch and lit the flames of freedom in the hearts of men and women in the founding of our nation.
Right. Well, and we'll talk about this maybe next show. There's a comment here about the separation of church and state. It doesn't exist. That is that is false. It is false.
Please,
so
folks.
Don't fall for that. There's no such thing.
Yeah,
Anyway.
and we appreciate the comments. I mean, look at the a lot of this, Manny. It's been it's a narrative, bro. It's propaganda, and it's just built up and it's built up and how does that saying say? Repeat a lie often enough, and you're gonna think that the lie is the truth.
People are gonna believe it. Yeah, it's nowhere in the Constitution. But anyway, folks, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I just want to remind you real quick, we do have a website, tacoboutalive.com. We do have a store now, Frank. So on our website, if people want to help support the cause as well, they can go to our website, go to our store. We got some items up for sale there right now, like a coffee mug. You can actually join us in the morning. Get your own little coffee mug, with your Taco Bell Live talk to go with your morning tacos on Taco Tuesday. We got some hats on there as well. Little Bluetooth speaker that'll hook up to your phone, your whatever device you want. So you can listen to us anywhere for our podcast. You can download it. And one of the hats that I like, Frank, there's a hat down there that says I'm pro taco.
Hey, bro. I identify as a taco eater. Hey, so real quick, bro, since we're capitalists here, we're Americans and entrepreneurs here. Some folks have been talking about, hey, you guys, you need to expand, more or whatever. Just an idea, we got Taco Tuesday. We could have Whataburger Wednesday. We could have, maybe Tapatio Thursday, Taco Tapatio Thursday, and Friday free for all, just buffet, whatever.
Fajita right? Friday or whatever. Right?
There you go, bro. Anyways, guys,
do we sell tacos? Maybe we'll put some tacos up on the store there. So I don't know.
Do we sell tacos? Yeah.
But folks, I want to thank you so much for being a part of this morning.
Sell tacos.
You're gonna or maybe paletas or something too.
Yeah, I might have to open up one of the little road stand diners here, man. The way things are going.
So anyway, folks, we want to thank you so much for joining us here this morning on Talk About It Live with Frank and Manny. We got folks, just remember to get out there and vote today if you haven't voted. It's very, very important. But be a part of your community. So we want to thank you again. Oh, God willing, we'll see you next Tuesday. Here on Talk About It Live with Frank and Manny. So we'll say God bless you.
God bless you.
God bless America. God bless Texas.